problem with this year's Derby is that the best horse in this field is the fastest horse in this field in Fierceness.
Yeah.
So he may very well be the class of the field. He was a champion at age 2. So last year he was the best of these. He came back. He ran the best race anyone's shown in the Florida Derby. And now he's going into the Kentucky Derby as the favorite. He's got the class and he's the fastest. So the pace and the class are lined up. Matt Bernier, who I work with at FanDuel, he also does, you'll see his coverage on NBC. He does both. He's one of the best handicappers I know. We're looking at it, and we covered the Florida Derby together, and neither one of us like betting the favorite. Neither one of us want to back the chalk, but he's looking at me, he goes, if this horse goes off at 3-1, he's the fastest horse in here. He's the best horse by a mile on his good day. Why are we overthinking this? Like, why are we trying so hard to come up with something just because it's the Derby? If this was any other race on any other day and it wasn't, with the grandiosity of the Kentucky Derby, we would say this horse is a layup. This might be the best 3-1 you can get. So you do have to, at the end of the day, you're right. You got to come back. What's the most important factor in this race, right? There's any handicapper can go and look at a million different angles, and it's an infinite amount of knowledge. But what's going to be the most important when you look at the end of the day, like, okay, what made the difference in that race? It was this. And usually your answers after the race are so much more simple than your reasons before. Right?
Yeah, you can tell the future after the future's already happened. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And I think I read somewhere Fierceness had the biggest speed figure in 2 decades. Is that true?
Yes. I'm glad you brought up speed figure. So we had the 110 he ran in the Florida Derby is the highest number. That's a buyer speed figure, and those are printed in the daily racing form. Highest buyer speed figure for a Derby prep in however long. I use another product called Thorograph, which is like a buyer. It's a speed figure without getting too wonky, because you can really nerd out on this stuff. And a lot of the really good horse players do nerd out on this stuff, and you kind of have to. And in this event, I certainly am. But with Thorograph, it's a quantification. It's a number like any other speed figure that says how fast they're going. I just think it's a more complete number than anything out there. On Thorograph, it's the opposite. The lower the number, the better. He ran a -3 in the Florida Derby. So that amount of separation, if he runs that number in the Kentucky Derby, and everybody else runs their best Thorograph number in the Kentucky Derby, he is going to win by 5 lengths. Like 5 lengths comfortably. So if you want to, and the reason that the Beyer speed figures are published in the Daily Racing Form is because Andy Beyer is one of the greatest horse players of all time. He is a legend in this game. And that number that they have published is one of the greatest advancements in racing information in my lifetime or anybody else's lifetime. Thorograph is just a similar type number. I think it's a little more refined and it's a little less available. You have to pay more money for it. So I think it can be more useful in that event. But they're both telling you the same tale right now, is that his optimal effort, his best race, is far and away better than what anybody else in the field can do. So in that instance, if he's that good, why overthink it? I'm going to overthink it. I'm going to spend the next week overthinking it like I've spent the last 4 months overthinking it, because that's my job. And even if it wasn't my job, I'd be doing it anyway. I would just be having to pay admission to get into the racetrack. But that's really, I think at the end of the day, that's going to be the most important thing that we look at.